Have you ever heard of a Roman city so magnificent that it went toe-to-toe with giants like Carthage and Alexandria? Now imagine that same city just vanishing, buried under desert sand for 1,000 years. Well, today, we're exploring that exact place, the lost city of Leptis Magna, on the coast of modern-day Libya.
I mean, just look at this. This was a sprawling metropolis. We're talking grand forums, huge triumphal arches, and a massive theater looking right out over the sea. At its peak, Leptis Magna wasn't just a city, it was a jewel of the empire, with a splendor that rivaled the biggest names out there. But as you might have guessed, its story takes a pretty dramatic turn. For over a millennium, this incredible city was just gone, swallowed up by the North African desert. So how does one of the Roman Empire's greatest urban centers simply disappear from the map? That's the huge mystery we're here to unravel. Okay, so to understand how a city this grand could just vanish, we have to go back to the beginning. We need to understand its incredible rise. Because long before it was called Rome's African jewel, its story was already being written on these very shores. The city's roots go way, way back. It started as a Punic trading post and was already an established power before it made the very strategic decision to ally with Rome. By 46 BC, it was officially part of the Republic. But its true golden age, the moment it became a global powerhouse, well, that wouldn't kick off until AD 193. Part of its early success was thanks to this really special status it had as a civitas libera et immunis. That's basically a fancy way of saying a free and immune community. What it meant in practice was that the city had a ton of self-governance, which allowed its unique blend of Punic and Roman culture to really flourish and its economy to thrive, all without heavy-handed control from Rome itself. And thrive it did. The city's incredible wealth was built on the fertile farmland all around it. Just to give you an idea, by 46 BC, it was so productive that it paid its annual tax to Julius Caesar with 3 million pounds of olive oil. Let that sink in for a second. That staggering amount tells you just how vital North Africa's agricultural engine was for the entire Roman Empire. So, Leptis Magna was already a wealthy and important city, right? But what catapulted it from just being successful into the absolute superstar league of the Roman world? Well, that came down to the rise of one of its own. Seriously, imagine a boy from a provincial town becoming the most powerful person in the known world. That is exactly what happened here. When Septimius Severus became emperor, he never forgot where he came from. And he decided he was going to turn his hometown into an absolute showpiece for the entire empire to marvel at. And he wasn't messing around. He lavished imperial funds on the city. During his visit back home in AD 205, this magnificent triumphal arch was built in his honor. This was just the first sign of a massive building boom that would completely transform Leptis Magna. With the emperor's patronage, all these breathtaking public works started popping up. The city's theater, with its incredible view overlooking the Mediterranean, became a huge hub of culture. This was no longer just some provincial town. It was a true cultural capital, a center for art and drama filled with just immense civic pride. The imperial investment just kept on coming, with projects like the Severan Basilica, a grand hall for law and commerce. Its ornate pillars and just its massive scale sent a crystal-clear message. Leptis Magna was now one of the great cities of the Roman world. And all this splendor wasn't just funded by olive oil anymore. The city had become a crucial hub for the trans-Saharan trade. You had caravans bringing these unimaginable luxuries from the heart of Africa right through the city's markets. We're talking ivory, gold dust, precious woods like ebony, even wild animals destined for the gladiatorial games in Rome, and ostrich feathers. For a while, its prosperity seemed absolutely limitless. But golden ages don't last forever, do they? The city's fall wasn't a single dramatic event. It was a long, slow decline, a story of crisis, disaster, and ultimately, invasion. It really was a death by 1,000 cuts. First, the crisis of the 3rd century hit. This was a period of intense civil war and economic chaos across the whole empire, and it shattered the trade networks that were the city's lifeblood. Then, you had a corrupt governor who basically bled the people dry. After that, a devastating tsunami strikes in 365. It was just one blow after another, and the worst part? The final blows were still yet to come. So, when the Vandals conquered the region in 439, their king, Gaiserc, made a fateful decision. To stop the people from even thinking about rebelling, he ordered the city's walls to be demolished, torn right down. This single act left Leptis Magna completely exposed, a rich prize just waiting to be taken. And then, the inevitable happened. In 523, Berber tribes sacked the now defenseless city. And even though the Byzantines briefly reclaimed it, Leptis Magna never truly recovered. By the time of the Arab conquests in the 7th century, this once great metropolis was pretty much a ghost town, with a population of less than 1,000 people. And that's when the desert began its slow, quiet work of reclaiming it. For more than 1,000 years, the story of Leptis Magna just goes quiet. The world moves on, but the city wasn't gone forever. It was just waiting. And here's the crazy, ironic twist. The very sand that had claimed the city also became its unlikely savior. Buried beneath these huge dunes, the streets, the temples, the beautiful mosaics, they were all remarkably preserved, shielded from the elements and the sheer passage of time. Then, in the 1920s, a whole new chapter begins. Italian archaeologists, working during Italy's occupation of Libya, started digging, and what they found was just astonishing. An almost perfectly intact Roman city, emerging from the sand like a ghost from the past. And the discoveries have continued right up into our time. As recently as 2005, a series of mosaics were found that were so stunning, scholars called this one, depicting a gladiator, a masterpiece. They said it was on par with the most famous art from Pompeii. It's just a reminder of the incredible treasures that could still be hidden there. Incredibly, this ancient site has weathered modern storms too. It survived the Libyan civil wars largely unscathed, thanks in no small part to local volunteers who dedicated themselves to protecting their own heritage. But now it faces a more insidious threat. Which brings us to the final and most urgent question. The city that survived the collapse of an empire, invasions, and modern warfare is now directly threatened by coastal erosion and rising sea levels. The waves of the Mediterranean, the same waves that once brought ships and trade to its harbor, are now inching closer and closer, threatening to reclaim this lost city once and for all. It's a powerful reminder that the story of our past is inextricably linked to the future we are creating right now.